Alright, the purpose of this program, Array1D, is to show how to work with one-dimensional arrays. The purpose of having one-dimensional arrays is to have a storage location that can hold multiple values. So, for example, if you are trying to save all of the numbers of the days in a month, you could have an array called ints January and have it include the numbers 1 through 30 or 31, whichever it is. I'm going to demonstrate a couple of fairly simple ways to declare and then initialize an array, and I will use both, or excuse me, I'll use all ints, doubles, and strings. So to start with, let's work with an array of ints. And the way you're going to declare all of these is you're going to have the type of array it is, in this case int. You're going to have the open and closed square brackets, and I open them just to show that that's what that is. Then you're going to have a name equals new int and then the number of items you want to store. Once you have created the array, that's the maximum number of items you can hold. Obviously, you can have less. If this is as far as you go, in other words, if I now, let's take this, copy it, paste it, and then we're going to hold on to all of this for later. All right. So what I'm going to do is declare and effectively initialize an array of ints, 5 of them, but I have not put quote-unquote new values in it. So this should contain all zeros. And now one of the reasons for having a for loop is so I can go through this one at a time. I is increased one by one by one. And so I'm going to go from 0, where everything starts counting, up to less than nums.length. So the length of nums is going to be 5, so I want to go 0 to 4. So we will compile and run, and you will notice that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. All right, no big surprise. But the whole, one of the points here is this is how to, or one of the ways, excuse me, this is one of the ways to declare and initialize an array of ints, and then this simply works my way through using a for loop, printing out each one on its own line. Now let's do one other thing just for completeness here. If I take the ln out and I add quote space quote, this will print out all the zeros on the same line with a space in between. So we'll compile and run, and there you go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, it would be a good thing if immediately after this we put in that, because that will move our cursor in the return back 1, or down 1 rather. So now my cursor has come below that. The only reason that matters is if I have more things to print out, I won't continue here, I will start on a fresh line. So if I have print ln, then everybody gets its own line. If I have print, then everybody's on the same line. If I didn't have this, it gets a little confusing because all the zeros are right next to each other. So it's always, or at least I think, it's always good to add the space in between. Okay. All right, now I can fill my array again with a loop so that I can say for int I equals 0 to I less than nums.length, I plus plus, nums I equals I. So that should fill my array, should go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this is going to print it out. And let's just for fun put it all on one line. Take up less space and come back and borrow this and put it there. So there you go, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, you could fill this up with you can do I plus 1 times 6 so that you get multiples of 6 and skip the 0 times 6. There you go, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. So you can fill that with anything you want. All right, let's comment all of this out so I can start over again. So star slash and oops, star. There we go. Yep. All right. Now, let's say that I want an array of doubles and I know what the values are ahead of time. I can say double, open close parens, we'll call this nums2 equals all right, and whoops, moving these out so they're a little more visible. All right, so now nums2 will contain these 4 doubles, and if I put a semicolon, life will be good. All right, and just like before, I can, whoops, comma, and all I have to do is put in nums2, that's why 1 does these things. All right, so this should print everything out on one line. Save it, yes. Whoops, what did we do? We need nums2. There we go. And there you get the numbers all in a row. All right. So that is a second way. This declares and fills at the same time, where this is simply declaring how large the array is going to be. All right, so we've done the easy ones to fill. We've done the ints and the doubles, and now let's look at how we could fill a string array. So we're going to do string names equals only because I don't want to do a whole lot of typing. All right, now in order to fill this, I can from here and all right, that compiles. So this is one way of declaring and putting names into an array of strings. And again, if we borrow this, I find it a whole lot easier to correct than retype. And there we go. And there we go, Sue, Jane, Sam, and Bob. And I was a bad person. I should copy and paste that in so that it's going to work. All right, how else can I fill an array of names? Okay, if I had some way of looping through, I would, but that gets to be really interesting. But we'll deal with that in a bit. The other thing I can do is the same thing I did with the numbers. I can say string names2 equals Sue, Jane, Sam, Bob, and Billy. Notice the originality of the names. And then if I print them out, I should get, he says, all right, I get all of my names printed out. So I can, when I have strings such as names, I can fill them in by giving them the absolute position 0, 1, 2, 3, or I can say strings names2 equals and put them inside the curly braces like that. Either one will work fine. Eventually we can talk about, if you wanted to, you could use a scanner and ask the user what is the value of each name and loop through it that way, but we'll ignore that for the moment. All right, so that is the basics of a 1D array. You are going to declare it. Let's go way back up here. If we have int, you're going to say int square bracket its name, that it's a new int array, and then how many values are in it. All right, we then said, having done all of that, that another way to do this would be to say double, so that's my type of array, or an array of doubles rather, called nums2, and then just put in all the values so that you've got that. And this assumes that they're not necessarily increasing in a regular manner. We used a for loop. First of all, we used the for loop to fill the int array, and we went from 0 because the index of an array starts at 0. We went to less than the name of the array dot length, noting that there are no open and closed parens like there are for string. When you say string dot length, you need the open and closed paren. For arrays, you do not. So this is now going to go 0, 1, 2, 3 up until whatever int is less than the length of the array, and we'll fill it with 1 plus, or I plus 1 times 6, and then we can use the same type of for loop, 0 to less than the length of the array, to print out all of the values. And we came down with an array of string type called names. We said it was going to be a new string with length 4, and then we put in the 4 values and printed them out. And we put in the system.out.println to get us a line in between. And then finally we said we're going to have another array of type string called names2, and then here are the names that are going to go in it, and then we printed them all out. All right, so that gets you a 1D array.